Mhm. I'm going to move there for two reasons. I'm going to move there for my health. So, good evening, y'all. I'm going to start my live over and I'm going to tell it all over again. Okay, so if you didn't hear the first time, then you'll get to hear it all over again because I'm going to start all over again. And I'm not going to make it as long. I'm just going to get to the point faster because what just happened was I was just on a live stream for about 1 hour and some change, and it just cut off. The live just cut off, and it only put up 25 minutes. So I'm going to delete that. I'm going to take a screenshot of that. It put up 20 something minutes on my end, and then it says 3105. And I know why they did it. It's because of what I'm talking about. What I was talking about was me being trapped in the city that I live in, Cleveland, Ohio. There have been landlords, property managers doing spells. And what has happened is I moved here in order to get past some generational hurdles or generational cycles that I knew were present with my bloodline. My mother was from Cleveland and had family here. My dad had business connections here in Cleveland. And I just wanted to give you all a little bit of back history so that you understand what kind of side I'm coming from. Now, I came here knowing that, so I moved here 3 years ago, August 19th, 2023. And so I am exactly 3 years and 6 days into living in Cleveland, Ohio. I had never lived in Cleveland before. I'd also only lived in South Carolina, United States, North Carolina, United States, and I had lived in Finland over in Europe. I had lived in Joensuu, Finland, which is in North Karelia, Karelia. I'm starting this live over because I just did an hour plus live and they just cut it off suddenly and only put up 25 minutes. So they shut off basically 70% of the live. They just cut it off. Now what I'm gonna do this time is, before I get into it, I'm gonna do a recording. I'm gonna do a screen recording. Actually, what I'll do is I'll just record it on my other phone. So just one moment. I'm going to record it on my other phone. Whoever was listening obviously didn't like what I said and cut it off. And that's fine because I'm going to keep saying it again and again and again and again and again until it goes up. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to say more and more and more, and I'm going to identify people. All right. So I moved to Cleveland in August 19th, 2023. I've been here 3 years and 6 days. Today is August 25th, 2026. I came here to address some generational curses, generational and karmic cycles. And what also may have happened is the live may have gotten reported because there are a lot of people in this city that listen, because I do help with cold cases. I do help law enforcement with different things, so they also listen. So somebody may have cut it short for that reason. It doesn't matter why. It's my freedom of speech, and you're not going to shut me up. So landlords have been doing spells on me to keep me from leaving this city. The medical center, Cleveland Clinic main campus, also was trying to sacrifice me, along with a satanic ritual cult that was full of doctors and nurses at Cleveland Clinic, Maine. I told you all about that in my live stream sometime in, I think it was early May. And that's why I was in the hospital for 43 days, was getting minimal treatment, was being denied a proper diagnosis, was dying of infection, but was not being properly treated with antibiotics, meaning not being treated for the full length of time that would have cured my infection. They gave me the bare minimum legally and even not so legally, and then was hoping that I would go home with infection still ravaging my system and die there. So if I didn't die in the hospital, they hoped I would die at home. And the whole purpose of this was for Cleveland Clinic main campus and University Hospital on Euclid Avenue in Cleveland, Ohio, to collectively, in tandem together, sacrifice me. All right. And that would have been an earth angel sacrifice. Now, sometimes it's as simple as this. You're anointed one, you're a chosen one, you have a divinity to yourself, you care about yourself, you have a light that shines in this world, whatever you like to call that, a positivity that greatly affects others, whether it affects some negatively. People see that and some people envy that. We all know this. And just one moment, just 1 second, y'all. Yeah, I'm not doing that Jesus saves you type shit on my channel. I'm not doing none of that, all right? So you can come in here playing if you want to. You're going to have a problem. So when I got here, I got a lease after a short period of time. I also had a job. And what I had told the property owner was, he was really excited. I was too. He showed me a property that had been sitting empty over a year. So that means, like 370, 380 days it had sat empty. And he did not have a tenant. So he was like, I got a perfect property for you. Come look at it. And I'm like, oh yeah, it is perfect. He knew I didn't have family here. He also knew that I was going to be by myself in the unit. And he knew also that I was looking for employment. I had already gotten a job and he had also helped with that. And so I had already said to him, hey, I want to keep the job so that I have this extra income and everything's fine, since I'm going to be entering a contractual agreement with you, a lease. So financial contract and spiritual contract was in play, a lease for the unit. So everything was going all right. But then a couple months after I was in the unit, I noticed the tenant upstairs started to bully me. And bullying was going on such that she was turning off my hot water heater, because all of the unit's hot water heaters are in the basement. So she was going into the basement and turning off my hot water heater, turning it to vacant so that it would drain all the water out and that I would not have hot water. And one time she did it, she waited particularly until a cold day came, and it was the coldest day of the month. This was April of 2024. She waited until we had this really cold, rainy day where it was only going to be a 68-degree high, and she shut off my hot water heater, and in doing so, it shut off my heat as well. So fortunately, when she did it, it was late into the evening, and I was and my unit was already warm enough, and I had not used my hot water in full that day because I had taken a bath the night before. So when she had done that, the hot water heater drained the water out, and I didn't have any hot water. Fortunately, it was about to be the next day anyway, so HVAC came, he fixed it. He was like, yes, somehow your chimney or your he said something about the chimney stack got depressurized, and that's how your heat got shut off, but it's all good now. So everything was fine. Push come to shove, the spirits told me that the landlord had told the female upstairs to do all of these bullying tactics to me, to make my life hard here, to make things rough for me. She was doing a lot of noise. She had her teenage and young adult sons doing things as well, doing a lot of antagonistic things like throwing stuff on my porch, knocking on the door and running, and and just doing like a real aggressive type of bullying of a neighbor. I had never done nothing to this chick. I had spoken to her and said hello, hey, how are y'all doing in the chat. I actually meant to turn the chat off, but how y'all doing? Thank you for watching. And so I had never done nothing wrong to her. I said hello. I had made sure to give them and put their mail, take their mail in when it was raining hard so that their mail wouldn't get wet. I also made sure to bring their packages in to make sure their packages didn't get boosted by porch pirates. I just did, not that that's a problem over here. I'm just saying I was being a good neighbor. I just did stuff that was good to do. You know, if I see somebody's package out in front of their door and it's fucking raining, I'm on my way in the door anyway. I'll just pick it up and put it inside where it's not going to get soaked. That's just the type of person I am. So eventually I stopped doing nice things and I was like, she's being very nasty and aggressive and doing all kind of stuff to make life hard for me in this unit, playing loud music late at night, stomping and banging and deciding to do stuff, you know, that involved loud noise at 12 a.m. and just a lot was going on. And then the spirits just opened up and said, the landlord told her to do this stuff to you. He's the one who's got her doing it. I said, oh, so that's why. Because I couldn't figure out what was going on. I thought it was just some chick being jealous of me for whatever her reason was. I thought it was just some chick who was like, well, damn, you know, we don't have a house to ourselves anymore. I didn't know what her reason was. I just figured, well, everybody ain't gonna like you. It's just sometimes gonna be like that. No, it was the landlord that told this bitch to bully me. Come to find out, the landlord also took my job. It was him and his damn partner. Now, the landlord is the owner. So for your partner, who was the property manager, to take the job from me, which you oversaw, meant that you told him to. So what you did was you financially hindered me, and you did it on purpose to make my life hard because you knew who I was. You knew who my parents were, and you set me up from the beginning. There was malevolent stuff going on. There was spells going on. Come to find out that the property manager was allegedly doing spells along with the landlord, and that they thought they were going to get their payday not only out of me financially being stuck here for years in a lease, but they thought they were going to get their payday through me by taking it energetically, spiritually, through spell work. The landlord was behind all that bullying shit. And then, you know, I knew when I came here there were enemies in the city. My father had enemies in this city. My mother had enemies in this city. So I came here for the purpose of settling old scores. And that's exactly what the fuck I'm doing. All right? So you can cut this live off. You can report it. You can do whatever you want to do, baby. I'm going to sing from the rooftops. I will go live every hour from now until tomorrow at 10 o'clock to get this out. You're not going to silence me, whoever you might be. This is about gnarled evil trees and the things that people do for fame, the things that people do for money, the things that people do to avoid their judgment, okay? Sometimes if you are divine anointed person, a righteous person, whatever your faith system may be, you try your best, you do your best, and you are seen as someone who is a cut above the rest. You're not just run of the mill, for example. You don't just do the minimum to get by. I'm talking to divine anointed people who are maybe chosen ones, if you identify yourself with that moniker, or elect one, divine feminine, divine masculine, divine person, you know, a godly person. People will do anything in order to have what they want, namely, mostly avoiding being responsible for their actions spiritually and physically, and also trying to make sure that they have money. Now, allegedly, the spirits have said the landlord had me in a spell to make sure that he was going to get riches up out of me because he knew about my family wealth or my inheritances, whichever you want to call it. And allegedly some of his relatives have died because he put me in a spell trying to siphon energy from me. Allegedly somebody else he knows have died because they were jealous of me and they were doing spells on me. Another one of my enemies allegedly just died. Now, I have not confirmed this with obituaries, because every death, people are not going to announce every death, but I'm just saying allegedly, purportedly, this is what was going on. So when I said I needed to come here, that I knew ancestrally, that I knew spiritually, that I needed to come here and deal with things karmically, I needed to come here and go through karmic cycles so that my children would not have to do it. So that's what I came here to do, along with having a healthcare or medical referral. So I was referred from a medical center in the South to a medical center up here. When I entered this medical center that I had been going to for almost 3 full years, I was treated with disrespect. I was made to wait an extremely long time while in a sickle cell crisis, while having symptoms of infection. I was also, from what the spirits told me, allegedly one of the doctors and nurses kept taking me off of the list, meaning when they were about to call me, when whoever was responsible for calling patients to the back, when you're ready to go to the back, when they're ready for you in the back, when you're in the ER waiting room, emergency room waiting room, allegedly this white doctor and white nurse kept putting me back on the list, kept pushing me down the list so that I had to keep waiting and keep waiting and keep waiting. And I have evidence of this because when I was in the waiting room, I had already been waiting 5 hours, and I said, well, damn, it's getting real late. So I was on the waiting room Wi-Fi, on the Cleveland Clinic main campus Wi-Fi. And so I'm on the Wi-Fi, and I started looking up sickle cell care in Cleveland to look at my other options, because I knew there were about 12 or more medical centers in the area. And I said, well, let me look for where else I need to go and catch a ride and go to another hospital, because I'm not about to sit in here all night long with no care. I'm already sick. I already have a deadly disease. People die from having a sickle cell crisis. This is not nothing to play with. And yet they had me sitting out there 5 hours. I watched them call back a motherfucker with a jammed finger before me. I understand that there are triage and tiers where, you can just get that done real quick and take care of somebody's sprained finger or something real quick and get them out. I understand that about the medical system. I'm telling you, I watched them lie to my face and say, we're going to get you back as soon as possible. And I watched them take other minor cases, namely white people, before me. And as soon as I was on the Wi-Fi looking up sickle cell care and how far it took me, or how far it would take me to go to another hospital and get said care, that's when they called me back. So you were watching my internet traffic on the Wi-Fi, wasn't you, Cleveland Clinic, Maine? And that's why you cut off my last live. But see, I'm going to tell these people about that fucking tree on your campus that you feed that animal tissue to, that you feed them aborted babies to. See, that's what happens when you turn off lives, baby. I just go ahead and say it. I don't give a fuck about you. You've been doing spells on me too. That's why you had your CEOs of University Hospital on Euclid and Cleveland Clinic, Maine. Your CEOs made sure that I came up in that bitch because y'all was going to sacrifice me for a wealth ritual, right? Y'all were going to sacrifice this earth angel for a wealth ritual because you know about how much wealth that's in my bloodline. You know my father is Pablo Escobar. You know my mother is Dorothy Dandridge. And you said, well, we're going to sacrifice her because we have a bunch of debt as a healthcare system, and we need to get out of said debt. Well, you did just build a new eye center, didn't you? A year or so ago, and you just built a new beautiful neurology center off of Carnegie, between Carnegie and Euclid, off of 89th, or what is that 89th or 93rd? I think that's 89th Avenue. You got a big ass neurology center and you in debt, but you thought you was going to kill me in that bitch in March and April. Look at the time period, y'all. That's a spring equinox, a spring fucking sacrifice, a death ritual. That's what they thought they was going to do. Let me tell you about that tree in front of their alumni affairs building on Euclid, Cleveland Clinic main campus. That tree, they feed aborted baby tissue and blood to. They feed eye fluid from humans too. They feed old cadavers to that tree. They feed organ meat and skin grafts to that tree. Now you go look at that tree and look at how the leaves look like human tissue, look like pink tissue with veins that are red, like blood veins running through the leaves. And you tell me what you get off of that tree if you spiritual. See, you shouldn't have been playing with me. Y'all were doing rituals and you had a satanic group trying to sacrifice me and that motherfucker when I was sick. Y'all were very hateful and very evil, and so I'm going to be hateful and evil back and tell that you got a tree that you do rituals to. Here's your preface, America. Here's your preface for this. World, you go and watch Supernatural with Sam and Dean Winchester are the characters, wherever you can find it on streaming services, and you look at episode 11 called Scarecrow. And whenever you see orchards and you see gnarled, mangled trees, strange trees, you need to think one thing when you see a strange tree. Ask yourself what human beings do for wealth. If they will kill a human being, they don't mind giving a tree some ritual offering. This is present in Bakongo ritual practices. This is present in Obeah. This is present in many indigenous American and in indigenous worldwide animism systems and spiritism systems where they will, for example, bury a live birth placenta under a tree to make sure that the tree or nature blesses them with certain things or blesses them with certain things. There is this lore in different cultures that when you cut your hair, for example, an Afghani woman told me that in her culture, when they trim their hair or cut their hair, they take their hair and bury it under a big, healthy, beautiful tree, and that is supposed to represent more hair growth and more health. And so they do that in order to pull the energy back to themselves and grow their hair back healthy and full and long as well. So this is around the world where people bury things for trees and give trees sacrifices and honor trees. And allegedly this tree has been there since 1545. Now, if you know where that location is in Cleveland, you go and look up that tree and you tell me what you get off of it. They've been giving animal sacrifices, blood, baby bones, and all kind of things to that tree. And how they give it is they grind it up and put it in liquid. Y'all gonna get these spells up off of me and you gonna get me the fuck up out of here. That's what you gonna do. You not gonna trap this earth angel, this God in this city no more and try to reap her energy no more, because see what you did to me in that hospital was you lost your federal funding, didn't you? Allegedly, you lost your federal funding for trying to kill me in that hospital. Allegedly, certain creditors pulled out and won't fund new construction projects for you anymore because you treated me like shit in that hospital. So now I just air out what you doing for money for that hospital. So if you doing that for a tree, then you damn sure don't give a damn about my fucking black ass, do you? You thought that you were going to get me in that hospital and kill me as a wealth ritual to get you out of that debt that you're in. That's why both of y'all treated me bad, even though you two separate systems. You're not two separate systems. You do sacrifices together. Isn't that right? Now cut off another live and see what else I say. All that Satanism going up in Cleveland Clinic and all them homeless people all through the city. You giving that damn tree food of human beings, but you won't feed a human being. I call that despicable, bitch. Hey, Quintession, how you doing? And so I'm not going to make this long because I just spoke for a fucking hour and they cut it off. And maybe I added too much little miscellaneous prehistory. But I just went on and gave it to you. You know, them cutting it off just made me say that tree out front of the Alumni Affairs office on Cleveland Clinic main campus on Euclid, right by 89th Street. That's that tree that they give ritual offerings to, namely human and animal sacrifice, human and animal tissue and fluid, including aborted babies, tissue and fluid and blood, including placentas. You moms that don't ask for your placenta back, or you get it back and they talking about, well, a piece tore off. You better be careful with that. That is a very, very spiritually powerful part of your body. And some women, you never have that part again because you may not be pregnant again. You may not, grow a baby or a fetus to term again. So your placenta is very important. It's very, very, very energetically powerful and rich. So don't let just anyone handle you when you're expecting. Don't let just anyone handle you when you're dealing with different things. The reason why I've been in this city was because I needed to clear away certain karmics and spells, and I've told some people that I know this recently as, kind of a little tenet of moral advice. Thank you, Quintession. Thank y'all for being here who will listen, who are on the right side of justice and who are decent people. I gave them this tenet and I said, one of the things that you have to be careful about is what people do for money. And I shared with them that one of the main things you need to value is your moral ground, your moral standing, and so forth. And I told them, be careful about how people treat you over money. Be careful about how people regard others over money. And just overall, pay attention to that. Because there are many individuals on this planet who value money far more than human life. And some people will say, well, that's smart. That's not dumb. That's not evil. Human life can't necessarily pay the bills, but money can. And it's to each their own. But I'm just giving you this warning. Guard your energies. These motherfuckers thought they were going to sacrifice me and keep me in this city to drain the fucking money out of me because they don't have it. And what they do have, maybe it's leaving them fast. Maybe they won't have it for long. Maybe they feel like, well, hey, we've got these projects and we want to do these projects, so we need to take it out of her. And they were just trying to take what I was coming into out of my ass, basically. They thought that I was going to be a dead body in their morgue and that they were going to give me to their tree or do whatever else with my remains. And that was going to bring wealth into their fucking pockets. Instead, it's destroying them. Instead, allegedly, some of these people have lost federal funding. Meaning facilities. Allegedly, federal funding has left them. Allegedly, creditors have left them because creditors heard how I was treated there and said, we don't want to be associated with you. So when people see money and finances and blessings upon you, just because you don't have it in your grasp, meaning you may not have a large amount of liquid cash or a large amount in your account. If that's you, it doesn't mean that you're broke. It doesn't mean that you're poor. I've talked about the video that I did called Are You Rich as Fuck in the Spiritual Realm? People will try to kill you over that and then siphon the energy to get themselves out of debt, to make sure that they have another 10, 20, 30, 40 years prospering, having their needs met, making sure that every I is dotted and every T is crossed financially for them and their family. That's what people have been trying to do to me. And they have been dying in the process. I'm not dying. They are dying in the process. And we coming up on a full moon. So this is very important for you. I would like for you to watch episode 11 of Supernatural, which is called Scarecrow. And I want you to really pay attention to what's going on there. And the pagan sacrifice that is the subject matter, all right? And I want you to pay attention to trees. And when you see gnarled, mangled, bulging, what looks like deformed trees, and it looks particularly old. Exactly. Not to mention an eclipse. We an eclipse system, and an eclipse system. My goodness. That system is being eclipsed. That's why they wanted to sacrifice me. That system is being eclipsed. They were trying to sacrifice me in March and April, which is the Ides of March, which is the tax collecting season, which is the season of Easter or Eostre or Astarte, which I'm said to be Astarte. I'm said to be Venus. So they thought they was going to kill me and have everlasting wealth in the springtime. When I entered that hospital, it was March the 10th. Or was it March the 7th? No, it was March the 10th. So what happens around March the 10th, right after that, is the astronomical New Year, the real New Year, as some people call it. And what also happens is Passover and Easter and the spring equinox. Pay attention to episode 11 if you're able to watch it. The night where the sun and the moon share the sky as equals, allegedly. We're going into the month of atonement, which is September. Yom Kippur, the feast day of St. Michael, which is September 29th, which is my so-called feast day. And then after that, you head into death season. So I thought I'd educate you about trees and what devils will do not to face their judgment. What devils will do, they will hold you prisoner to make sure that you can't leave so that they can suck every morsel off of you and every drop from your veins. Also, because you're anointed, if that's you, they will make sure that you can't leave because disaster will strike them once you're gone. When you're in an area, chosen one, anointed one, divine one, elect one, disaster, sickness, disease, and so forth will avoid striking an area. Also pay attention to that in episode 11. So there was a reason why they wanted to keep me in this city and why there are spells and there were celebrities involved in these spells to keep me here. Because they know once I leave here, I'm going into a new chapter of peace and prosperity. It won't be no more fighting enemies. It won't be no more being a slave to poverty and landlords playing in my fucking face and in my money. It won't be no more landlords, period. That's what they fucking know, because allegedly my father's will said when I'm 42, before I turn 43, I inherit X amount of dollars. That's why they were doing it. I turned 43 in November. So they thought if we keep her in Cleveland, she can't get her money. She can't get what's ancestrally hers. The devil is a liar. I'll kill every one of y'all dead and walk out. And won't nothing touch me. Because it's not yours, it's mine. It ain't on me, it's in me. You can kill this vessel, I'll be back in an hour. And you know I ain't fucking playing. Those that I'm talking to, the evil ones that I'm talking to, they know I'm not playing. Because they tried to kill me with 100+ Satanists and failed. You can't understand the fact that you can't kill a death god. All I do is change. I transform. And I trick you and then get you. I trick your family and then get them. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. The scales must be balanced. And my scales are balanced. And they know that. So they said, well, if we keep her here, if we keep her divine masculines from her, if we run smear campaigns on the internet and say she's ugly, she's stupid, she's broke, she don't have nothing, she's wicked, she's a witch, she's doing this, she's doing that, she fuck all kind of men, lying, then her divine masculines won't want her, then she can't have this, she can't have that, she won't leave, because we know this is just her stepping stone to go into goddamn fortune and glory. And it ain't goddamned, it's goddamn to them because they don't have it. So the longer we keep her here, the longer she can't have it. If we keep her renting, she won't never save no money. If she don't get this, she can't have that, and then she won't have this, and then we can take it. All of this has been arranged. All of it. So you think about that the next time you see a bitch running her fucking dick sucker on me, and ask yourself, why was she involved with the bitches that were trying to sacrifice me? Her little partners are dead though. The ones that were trying to sacrifice me running the smear campaigns, they're dead. Those tarot readers are dead. So I encourage you bitches, talk. Please do. Please do. Because I'm going to run you the fuck down too. I want you to talk shit so that you can identify yourself as one of the ritualists trying to steal my inheritance and trying to keep me from what my ancestors have left for me. Trying to keep me from what my ancestors died to ensure that me and my children and descendants would have. And also those who are like in kind. Those are fellow chosen ones, fellow soul brothers, fellow soul sisters. There's people I have money I have to give to. I have to give them money. I have to bless them. That's a part of my purpose, is to give to other people. So you standing in the way of not only what I got to do or thought you were standing in the way. You're not that important. You were a lesson, a test, but nothing more. You could never block what the Most High has going forward. If you could do that, then you could stop yourself from doing the other stupid shit that you do, but you couldn't do that either. There are other people I have to help and do things for and have business with. And you're standing in the way of different things. And so when you lay down, you're going to lay down and I'm going to laugh. When you lay down, like some of these landlord partners have, some of these fucking enemies friends have, some of these Satanists have, a couple of these doctors and nurses have already died when they were trying to kill me in March and April. They're dead already. It didn't even take me 5 months to get them. It didn't even take me 4 months to get them. They're gone. They may have a job, but they don't have a life though. Their life is gone. They may have been a nurse on such and such nurse on paper, but they dead though. Whose nurse are they now? They was trying to sacrifice me to get money, but whose money are you spending now? You can't even put a red cent down on nobody's counter. Whose money are you spending now? And sending now, you can't even spend money ever again. They'll never exist again. You don't do that kind of shit to somebody like a divine elect one, an archangel, and then get to come back. You never come back again. Ever. So watch out for trees, y'all. That's my, yes, reclaim all of your wealth vault and all of your energies from all places, realms, times, worlds, frequencies, timelines, all constellations, all planets, all planetary systems, all universes, multiverses, all microcosms, macrocosms, all ancestors, all connections, known, unknown, seen and unseen, named and unnamed. Reclaim it. That's right. Quintession says that's why reclaiming your wealth vault is so important, because sometimes when we are born into a family, they want to keep our wealth vault away from us. But when you reclaim your sovereignty, things happen. That's right. And I reclaimed my sovereignty. And I hope that those of you who can will, and or you have. If you haven't, I hope that you do if you divine one. Those that need to be put down will be put down. The Bible didn't say you forgive devils. The Bible said you kill them. The Bible said you let the Most High kill them, and that you do not mourn them. That's what the Bible said if you want to talk about the word. The Bible said that the Lord laughs at the wicked. The Most High laughs at the wicked because he knows, or she knows, their day is coming. There will be no sympathy for any of those who have worked against persons like myself, persons like yourself, if you're divine, righteous, on the right side of justice, you know, doing your best, trying your best to be a positive person. The divine sees that. Your ancestors see that. And it matters. It matters in ways you cannot fathom. There are devils out here that look like human beings that hate you just because you're not a bad person. They hate you just because you're not going around spitting and crapping on other people and just doing people dirty. They hate you for that fact alone. So pay attention to the seeds you plant. Pay attention to how you treat nature as well, and how nature responds to you and treats you. The knowledge of trees is so ancient that it goes back to before human beings ever built anything upon soil on this earth. Some people say that trees are so old, some of them, that There are mountains and hills that we see as mountains and hills covered in rock and dirt or gravel, and these are actually ancient tree stumps. Those that subscribe to antediluvian or pre-diluvian flood theory and or myth, and those who subscribe to the mud flood theory, and some who like to study the alleged mythology or history of Tartaria, they talk about the trees, and the Lord of the Rings talked about it, and the trees, reminded them of their ancient knowledge. And then they also reminded you in the Lord of the Rings trilogy of evil trees, and they said, shh, some of the trees are not on our side. Some of the trees are against us. We better not talk here about our plans against Sauron and Saruman the wizard. In the Rings of Power on Amazon Prime, and I'm not, paid to advertise or anything. This is not promotion, just sharing where you can see this cinematically depicted and where you can get that imagery in your spirit if you want to. In the Rings of Power, the trees, one of the trees, a female tree, was talking about forgiveness and how she don't forgive the fact that there were certain human beings harming trees for no reason. And that they held vows to be serious. Meaning the trees held vows to be serious with mankind. The trees talked about how they, over the trilogy and of the Lord of the Rings and the Lord of the Rings universe or cosmos, the trees talked about how they have known the entire history of elves, orcs or uruks, mankind and dwarves, and also other beings. I share this with you so that you understand that there is no limit to what human beings will do for money. There was no limit to what human beings will do to steal. There is no limit to what they will do to avoid their judgment. And part of keeping me where I'm at was to avoid their judgment. Because whenever I leave a place, it gets destroyed or it goes downhill. Like what happened in Asheville, North Carolina. I spent 4 months there, and a year later, it was torn from its foundation. Didn't the Bible talk about judgment coming upon certain parts of mankind and their cities being torn from their foundations? I thought so. I thought that was in the Bible or in some of the apocryphal texts, maybe. I'm not going to get preachy with you and give you scriptures. But the Bible also talked about, which this scripture has been coming up in my spirit a lot, that the love of mankind would wax cold, or would be cold at some point, would grow to be cold. Wax means grow. And in finding that in mind, we are in a waxing moon. It's a full moon coming. So I had to tell you about this tree and what they feed this tree. Were they feeling themselves so much that they were willing to feed the tree me? It's possible. Possibly. In Obeah and many systems, Bakongo systems, as I said, in indigenous systems and superstitions, people bury things under trees all over the world and have for a long time. When you see certain types of trees, and I will put a thumbnail as an example, if you're of the spiritual sort and you identify with seeing codes and synchronicities and signs in nature, I want you to think about what you're witnessing, and you get with your spirit team if you need to and ask about that tree. That's not the only kind of tree that I've seen like that in this city. And in the episode 11, it talks about Scandinavian or pagan lore or mythology or pagan worship rites, pagan ritualistic rites when it comes to trees. When you see orchards, you need to ask yourself what's going on beneath the orchard, especially if it's an old orchard, one that's older than 40 or 50 years and it's a healthy orchard. Sometimes you have to just ask yourself these questions. I'm not saying you have to make videos about these things or anything. Just ask yourself and ask your guides, the Most High, your God or goddess of a benevolent sort, your higher power, your supreme intelligence. or even just your higher self or higher mind, and ask yourself, what's feeding these trees? Because as I've said before, people are dying every day, but your cemeteries are not getting bigger, people. Humankind, your cemeteries are not expanding. So what are you doing with the bodies? Are you feeding them to the trees? That's all I got to say for right now, y'all. This has been a possibly true or possibly not true anthology of horror as we go into the seasons of decay and death. Ask yourself why human beings would be giving energies that are lifeblood, literally, to something that we commonly just see is going to decay and lose its leaves, deciduous trees or trees that lose their leaves in the fall and in the winter. Why would you be giving human blood, human tissue, to animal tissue to that? Feeding the root system certain solutions of animal and human tissue allegedly, and reaping the wealth benefits and the proliferation and growth benefits is mainly what you're doing. You want the tree to help your campus grow. You want the tree to make sure that you keep on going, that you age like a tree, and that you last the sands of time, that you can stand firm in the sands of time. That's really what you're doing it for. And thinking that you were going to feed the tree me, I looked up at the tree and learned your secrets. The tree cannot be fed me. So I wonder how long you will last now. And when I said that, it was 4646, which is 1010, which is judgment, 20XX in the tarot. I wonder how long you will last. For September, as we march into that month, is the month of atonement. The Day of Atonement is Yom Kippur. September is all about paying attention to what you've done, because that's a 9. It's completion as well. Going into the 10th month, which is a new beginning. You thought you were going to keep me here with your rituals and spells and all these different hundreds of people doing them so that I would never have anything, and so that you could siphon from me until I died. Only the trees care. The trees will not let me die. The plants will not let me die. In fact, they are killing you. That's what you call a good old recycling plan, y'all. Go green, recycle.